Credo Voices, the podcast where we bring you inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host, Awele Okibo, the CEO of Credo Advisory.
Across the U.S., over 1.9 million people are incarcerated, including approximately 190,600 women and girls, according to a 2024 report by the Prison Policy Initiative. In many correctional facilities, essential hygiene items like deodorant, soap, and menstrual products are either unaffordable or inaccessible, leaving many without the means to maintain basic personal care. Despite hygiene being a fundamental human right, systemic neglect continues to dehumanize people behind bars and deepen existing cycles of inequality. In this episode of Credo Voices, we talk to Lea Nepuceno, founder of Beauty Beyond Bars, an initiative committed to ensuring that incarcerated women have access to essential hygiene and beauty products while advocating for systemic change. Lea's work advances SDG 3, good health and well-being, SDG 5, gender equality, and SDG 10, reduced inequalities, promoting a more equitable and humane correctional system. Join us as Lea shares how Beauty Beyond Bars is transforming hygiene access, shifting policy, and challenging the way we see incarceration.
Hello, everybody. So today I have the most incredibly inspirational young woman. Lea, please introduce yourself.
Firstly, thank you so much, Awele, for having me on Credo Voices. I have been looking forward to this conversation ever since we met. Hi, everyone. My name is Lea Nepuceno. I am 19 years old from San Diego, California, currently living in Washington, D.C. I'm the executive director of Beauty Beyond Bars, which is the United States' leading initiative empowering incarcerated folks with beauty and hygiene.
Incredible. So, Lea, we met recently at the Vital Voices Summit, and it was, the Vital Voices Visionary Summit, and I was awestruck at the work you're doing with Beauty Beyond Bars. And I just really would like our audience to know kind of what's the backstory? How does a 19-year-old Filipina American get involved with people that are incarcerated?
That's such a good question. Like many folks, I grew up with a very negative connotation of what it meant to be incarcerated, let alone involved negatively with the U.S. criminal justice system. But this all really changed for me when I was 13 years old. I was at a summer program called the Social Fabric Initiative, where youth had the opportunity to speak with people who are impacted by various social justice issues, including criminal justice reform, environmental justice, human sex trafficking, etc. At this program, I had the opportunity to speak with a formerly incarcerated woman for the first time. And she looked a lot like me. She was Filipino American. She came from a similar neighborhood, similar background. And the more I spoke with her, the more I realized that we had so much in common, and that I too, in many ways, was vulnerable to the same incarceration that she experienced. From there, it was really my first time seeing humanity in someone who I would otherwise straight off the bat label as criminal. So since then, out of both curiosity and also concern, I created the organization Youth for Juvenile Justice Reform in 2019 with fellow youth who were concerned with the criminal justice system and how people who are incarcerated are portrayed in the media. We have interviewed thousands of incarcerated people ever since all across the United States. And that's ultimately what led me to create Beauty Beyond Bars, is that I noticed a recurring jarring theme that the majority of people who are incarcerated lack access to basic hygiene products, whether it's soap, shampoo, even curl creams and gels. And that's where Beauty Beyond Bars steps in, is we ensure that hygiene is a human right and that it's treated as such behind and beyond bars.
I love that. So, Lea, I'd like us to do a little bit of unpacking. So, beyond the stigma, which you already talked about, there is this stigma of people who have been incarcerated, and they're already kind of removed from society. So, the fact that you are also ensuring that they have that humanity of these are basic personal care, routines, washing your hair, using deodorant. And it's shocking that, a lot of people don't know what happens behind bars. And your work is really lifting the veil and people are really seeing what's happening. Now, can you tell me, what is the day to day? So first of all, how do you get involved? Like, how do you pick the person or the prison or the region? Can you just walk us through? I'd like our audience to really get a good sense of the operations.
Yes. Thank you so much for asking that question. I think oftentimes in the social impact space, we are able to see like the final product, but we can't really see the operations or the day-to-day work that goes into it. So I think it's really important for people to understand that. As it pertains to Beauty Beyond Bars, essentially how it works is we honestly started by doing a lot of research before we even got started. Like, I have been interviewing people who have been impacted by the criminal justice system since I was 13. I'm now 19. And really what we did first is ensure that this was an issue. And how we did that is we wanted to go inside correctional facilities and speak with people who were formerly incarcerated to ensure that the people who are most impacted by the issue are the ones who are also informing the solution. So what that looks like in action is our headquarters is based in San Diego, and that's primarily where I'm based, although I, of course, currently go to school in Washington, D.C. So when I'm in San Diego, I make an effort to visit facilities. And this, like, an example of this is last summer, I taught a program at 2 facilities in San Diego, East Mesa Juvenile Detention Center, as well as the Youth Transitional Center. And that was a really transformative experience because I had the opportunity, like, every day to speak and teach not formerly incarcerated, but currently incarcerated youth. And they're the same age. Some of them were even the same age as me. The ages range from as young as 12 years old to 19. Yeah. So like these are literally children that we're teaching. But the program is called Problem Solving Through Policy. So what we did is Beauty Beyond Bars has 3 main components, which is the donation, conversation, and legislation. So this really funneled in our legislation component is we had the youth there essentially identify problems that they've experienced in the system. And many of them talked about not having proper mental health support or even concerns of how climate change has been impacting the heat and immediate relief that that some of them don't even have access to. So throughout these conversations, how it worked is we would discuss it, but then we would also assist them in making actual policy proposals. So they're not only identifying the issue, but actively creating solutions. And today, some of the proposals that they have created have become real life legislation that is led by the Beauty Beyond Bars team.
Incredible, Lea, absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
So here's what I'm grappling with. 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old, 15-year-old.
Yeah.
Most girls your ages are most girls at these ages are thinking around, how do I get a Taylor Swift concert?
Yes, exactly.
I can't wait to start driving, or, my followers on Snapchat, or you are not the average teenager in America. You're absolutely not. And again, I'd like to find out a little bit more about what is your kind of the driving force behind this. You're growing up in a community. I'd hazard to say that there are not a lot of girls like you doing this work. So what's your motivation? How do you get the courage to reach out to a prison or a juvenile center saying, hello, my name is Lea. I'd like to actually come and teach. So can you talk a little bit about your driving force? What is motivating you? And then I want to see some color around just the sounds and what you see when you go in and what you're feeling, seeing across the table or across the room, a girl who looks like you, sounds like you, but her reality is so far from yours.
That's a great question, Awela. And I think that's something that I've been asking myself a lot recently is, as you can tell, I'm much of a doer. Like I kind of just follow where the action is. I'm like, I want to get it done. I want to do this interview. I want to go into this facility and teach. But sometimes I don't have the time per se to like ask myself why, like what is the driving force? And that's something I really appreciate about Vital Voices is they focus so much on right on like uncovering and unleashing the driving force, because I think it adds so much color to the cause. So to answer your question, I would say that my driving force has begun at a very young age. So San Diego, California is very much a military town. And like many of my peers who I grew up with, I was also a military child, or I guess the nickname for that is military brat, as many people call it. So I grew up actually like unlike many other people who grew up in the military where they're moving around a lot, I actually didn't move at all, which is very rare for military kids. But because San Diego is such a heavily concentrated military community of sorts, everyone around me was always moving. So I had to, in order to make friends at a young age, I would constantly have to meet new people, learn about their stories, many of them coming from all places around the world, since of course military bases are scattered throughout the world.
Right.
And because of that, I had a very unique opportunity at a young age to stay in the same place, yet get this somewhat global experience just through speaking with people. And I realized that when you ask the right questions, you get the right answers. So through being intentional and at a young age, learning how to ask the right questions that would enable me to better understand people's life perspectives, I've always had a curiosity to understand different cultures, different backgrounds, and ultimately to change my own perspective. And at a young age, I realized that I am really moved by this ability to turn curiosity into change.
Wow.
So understanding how I could interview someone on my playground ultimately prepared me when I was 13 and I was interviewing someone who had been previously incarcerated, because I got to learn something that I would have never learned otherwise. And my driving force is ultimately to change other people's perspectives in the process by uplifting voices that would otherwise never be heard.
Yes, yes. Oh my God, Lea. So, I mean, again, I'm just in awe of you. And I look back to my own 13, 14, 15, 19-year-old self. And I'm just like, my goodness, it's such an inspiration listening to the work you're doing.
Lea's work with Beauty Beyond Bars is all about transformation through donation, conversation, and legislation. It starts with something simple, getting beauty and hygiene products to those who need them most, restoring dignity and self-care. She also creates space for real conversations that amplify silenced voices. And by teaching incarcerated youth to write bills and lobbying to get them passed, with one already becoming law, Lea shows how small acts can spark real justice and humanity.
Now, can you share a little bit more around some of the challenges? So you're listening to all these different stories. Now, is it focused mostly on women or also men?
Yes. It was pretty mixed at this time. So for some context, we were based in San Diego, this youth group, Youth for Juvenile Justice Reform. So we initially began interviewing people solely in person. This was in 2019.
Okay.
And eventually, though, we moved in 2020 to really expanding our interviews to be on Zoom, since of course it was 2020, everyone was using video calls and whatnot.
Yes.
And then we really from there grew a lot, because not only were we speaking to people in our own community, but we were speaking to people all across the United States, and had the unique ability to interview folks of all ages and of all genders as well.
These are individuals that are incarcerated.
So primarily in Youth for Juvenile Justice Reform, we would interview individuals who were formerly incarcerated.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Since then, Beauty Beyond Bars, we have focused on having the voices of incarcerated folks as well.
Okay.
But for Youth for Juvenile Justice Reform, it was much more focused on the stories of people who were formerly incarcerated.
Can you share some of those stories? Like, what are some of the? So you're talking to young individuals who have spent a certain amount of time in jail. They're now out. Can you just share what are some of the challenges that they encounter while they were incarcerated and after, and what is your organization how are they trying to drive that change?
That's a great question. So I would say that the interviews that struck me the most were especially among young women, mostly because I could relate to a lot of the challenges that they were experiencing. I think being in the space of criminal justice reform, it's really interesting because the wider conversation typically surrounds that of probation reform, parole reform, looking at laws, policies, very big picture.
Yes.
But what Beauty Beyond Bars focuses on that really makes it unique is we focus on the everyday lived experiences of people who are currently incarcerated. How can we improve that experience to ensure that incarceration can actually be a space for rehabilitation rather than that of punishment?
Oh my goodness.
In order to do that, though, it wouldn't have been possible if I haven't had these interviews where at Youth for Juvenile Justice Reform, where women would tell me how they would have to make DIY products, DIY soap, DIY curl creams and gels, DIY eyeshadows to look and ultimately feel good, feel like a woman. Some of the quotes that stand out to me the most are actually on, it's on the first page of our website because I think it really just illustrates how important beauty and hygiene is. Earlier you asked me about some of the challenges in this work.
Yes.
And I would say that one of the number one challenges has actually been in communicating that beauty is a right. It's not just something of vanity, but it's something that can truly transform lives. So one quote that I think really emulates that is, this is by Jessica Kent, who's a formerly incarcerated YouTuber. And she said, "We like makeup for the same reason that we showered. We wanted to feel human."
Oh my goodness, Lea, that is absolutely powerful. And I want to add that, the perception around beauty is that it's superficial, it's not a necessity. Yeah. It's kind of like, it shouldn't be a primary focus. And what I'm hearing you say is that it is, because if you feel good, whether or not you shower, brush your teeth, brush your hair, or you put on, lip gloss, they're all if the impact is the same. You feel good.
Absolutely.
You feel human.
Absolutely.
You feel yourself. You feel ready to take on another day, to fight the battle, to, be around, to keep going.
Yes.
So the fact that you're able to in all of these interviews and all the conversations you've heard, the fact that you are able to take this as a key takeaway, and that's clearly as what has motivated you, is absolutely impressive. So you mentioned, the DIY, that's, for our larger audience, these do it yourself, products. So they, trying to, in the absence of having access to conditioning for hair conditioning, you're saying that these women would have to like make their own, just whatever they have available while they're incarcerated. Now, can you tell me, as far as those products, what is Beauty Beyond Bars doing as far as providing, these individuals, these women with those resources?
Yes, that's a great question. So as of now, as it pertains to our donation, I would say that's honestly the most challenging of our pillars, because it is not easy to donate to facilities. And the reason for that being is it's even difficult to get into a facility. So imagine donating something like shampoo or conditioner that has a lot of chemicals in it that could potentially be contraband. That is going to be logistically very challenging. I remember that even though I didn't start Beauty Beyond Bars until 2023, before then I was just curious about what was in facilities. So I would be like 16 years old and I would just call up different facilities in my area in San Diego and ask them like, hey, would it be possible to even donate beauty products? Like if I wanted to, or even hygiene, like if I wanted to donate toothpaste, is that something I can do? And I would get just like first some silence, because they're like, what is this 16-year-old girl asking? And then they would eventually respond and be like, I mean, I guess, but no one really donates that. Like typically books are donated, journals are donated, but no one really donates beauty and hygiene products. So
is it that they think that's just already provided, or they don't think it's important? Because when you think of donations, you have like clothing drives, you have book drives, food drives, but literally you're the first person I've ever encountered that has actually raised the issue of donating personal products to people that are incarcerated.
Yes.
I would never have thought. I would have thought donating time, legal time, to help them with their case. I would have thought donating, education, maybe some kind of like, training, books. So I think what makes your work so special is that not only does it highlight the, kind of a huge gap in the system, but it's that you are, I would even say sometimes that somebody getting that soap or getting that shampoo goes a much longer way than getting a book.
Yes, I completely agree. I think that in this space, and the reason why I felt so called to do this work with Beauty Beyond Bars is the fact that legal support, educational support, books, journals already exist. People are already receiving these services. But in my interviews, and even in the first time when I met up with the girls who I was teaching last summer at the juvenile detention center facilities, I asked them, without even telling them my background or Beauty Beyond Bars, what's the number one issue you're experiencing? And literally what they said is, the soap sucks. Or this shampoo doesn't work for my hair. Our showers, we can't even take longer than like a 2-minute shower. And if we do, then we're marked down points and whatnot. So they shared with me, if you view the system from like an academic standpoint, you might say, okay, the legal supports are needed. Educational supports are most needed. But if you just sit down and you talk to people who are currently experiencing incarceration
and listen,
exactly, then we see the need is hygiene. That is the need, because sure, you can have the legal support, you can have the education support, but if you feel dirty at the end of the day,
and you don't feel
you don't feel yourself. And just think about you being like this. To the audience, imagine being incarcerated. When you're incarcerated, you are stripped of your clothes, of your jewelry, of any marker of identification. It is so difficult to feel like yourself. And on top of that, you don't have access to your daily hygiene routines. We all have certain products that we have preferences for, right? So imagine your favorite toothpaste, your toothbrush, it's taken away from you. The shampoo that works for your specific hair texture is not available behind bars.
Or skin. I mean,
your skin.
So
Many of them.
I mean, Lea, I know. When you were just talking, I just remember there was, running out of deodorant. I'm thinking, oh my god, I have a meeting. My deodorant's finished. I don't have,
Yeah,
and I felt absolutely like out of sorts that entire day until I
absolutely.
didn't wear deodorant and I didn't have time to go to the store to pick it up. And I just remember feeling, and it affected the way I engaged. It affected the way I spoke, affected the way I moved. I was so conscious. I was so uncomfortable. So imagine that every single day. It's incredible. And the fact that you were able to identify this and really listen, and you're now actively doing that work. So let's look into the actual donations and
Yes.
who you partner with. Because Lea, you're an incredible teenager, but you are not superhuman. You sound superhuman. I know there's an incredible support system, partnerships that you've been able to, to get. Can you just walk us through who are the people that are helping you do all of this incredible work?
Thank you. So, yeah, you're right. I am absolutely not superhuman, and it would not be possible without the incredible team, community, and partnerships that we've formed in the past year. So, in order to donate, of course, I would say our number one partner that we rely most on is the actual facilities. We have put in a lot of effort to build trust with the facilities that we donate to. And in order to do that, it of course comes from number one, time, right? Like I have been calling these facilities and just asking them questions since I was like 16. So that has definitely played a role. And then number two, we have proved that these donations are things that ultimately improve the behavior of the people who are incarcerated. We have gotten so many thank you cards from the men and women that we have donated to, just thanking us for one, acknowledging that this is, and knowing that this is an issue that they're experiencing. And number two, caring and actually ensuring that they have the products that they need. And we take feedback from them as well. So if there's a certain product that they like most, then we can donate that in the future. So number two is our corporate partners. So in the beginning, we were donating products, but I wouldn't necessarily say they were the most high quality products, right? We wanted to donate products that we can afford, whether they're from like Target or Dollar Tree. So we can at least, have access to folks inside can at least have access to these products. But as we have expanded our operations, we have looked into sustainability, number one, ensuring that the products we donate are actually sustainable
Right.
and keep the health of the planet and its people in mind. And number two, that the products are high quality. So in order to do that, one of our number one, if I would actually say argue the number one corporate partner has been Dr. Bronner's. And we recently secured a partnership with them earlier this year where they donated over $200,000 worth of hygiene products.
Oh my goodness.
It has been incredible.
Wow.
And I actually met, how I got connected with Dr. Bronner's is that they are based in San Diego. And I was at an event in the University of San Diego surrounding B corporations and this idea of like conscious capitalism. So it included many businesses who are focused on sustainability or giving back to the community in some way. And I connected with the Dr. Bronner's team then, and we have been working together ever since. They have been incredibly generous in this cause because with full transparency, Awele, it was really difficult, and it still is really difficult getting corporate partners to work with Beauty Beyond Bars because that stigma surrounding incarceration still very much exists and is alive. But the Dr. Bronner's team has believed in us from the very beginning, and our partnership with them has only grown since. So I am tremendously grateful for them.
For our international audience, can you just tell us a little bit about the products that you get from Dr. Bronner's?
Yes. So Dr. Bronner's is a soap company as well as an overall essential hygiene company. They even sell dark chocolate, which is sort of a random endeavor, but I can attest to the fact that their chocolate is actually really, really good. So what they donate to us is they donate a variety of products. So they donate both like full-size products as well as mini-size products. And the reason why we request mini-size products is because to most correctional facilities, they actually only accept like travel-size products, not full-size products. So that's something that we keep in mind. But in addition to correctional facilities, we also donate to reentry facilities. So for those who are unfamiliar, reentry facilities are essentially facilities for people who were previously incarcerated that are now reentering society.
Yes.
So you mentioned, Awela, how you were talking about story with deodorant, like not having access to deodorant and not feeling yourself that entire day. Imagine not having access to deodorant or any hygiene products, and then you need to take a job interview. So that's why we donate to reentry facilities, is because these are folks who are seeking to reenter society. They want to look their best. They want to feel their best, do their best. And we acknowledge that they can't do that without the proper hygiene support. So that's something that we focus on with Dr. Bronner's.
I love that. So who is your dream partner?
Ooh.
And I'm going to shamelessly tag them when I write.
Oh my gosh.
So who's your dream partner?
We have,
I could wave a magic wand.
This is such a good question. Okay. So I'm going to put it out there in the universe.
Absolutely.
Our dream partner has been Dove. We really want to work with Dove. Especially I didn't discuss on this podcast yet, but we just passed a bill in California called the Culturally Competent Hair Care Act that mandates culturally competent hair care products such as curl creams and gels are available within all California correctional facilities. And we're currently working on bringing this bill, since it's successful in California, nationwide. Dove was an integral part in the Crown Act, which essentially mandated that employers do not discriminate against hair texture, right, in the workplace. Yes. So we see a lot of alignment with what Dove is doing in terms of empowering women, but not only empowering women, but especially empowering women of color.
Yes.
So we would love to include them in our mission, seeing that there's so much alignment with their ideas of empowerment and ensuring that there is inclusivity. Right? So let's bring them to Beauty Beyond Bars. That would be incredible.
Yeah, we are claiming it. We're claiming it. We claim it. Yes?
Absolutely.
Now, Lea, I could talk to you forever because it's just, you're so inspiring for someone so young. And I really hope that young people listening to you can really be motivated to find their own purpose and to really focus on driving change. Now, where do you see Beauty Beyond Bars in 5 to 10 years? Where's your goal? Where are you headed? And what do you need beyond, you talked about, the collaborations or partnerships, but as far as your team, and I hear a lot of, I know it's you and a lot of people are helping you, volunteers. So can you tell me, where do you see yourselves in 5 to 10 years? And how do you see Beauty Beyond Bars growing? Right now, my sense is you're doing a lot of work in the state of California, but geographically, please share.
Yes, that's a great question. So as of now, of course, most of our work takes place in California correctional facilities, reentry facilities, but we have recently expanded to different states. So we actually just did a donation drive in New York, to a facility called the New Hour for Women and Children, Long Island. And they are a reentry center that mainly focuses on the needs of systems impacted women and children in the Long Island, New York area. So we've just donated a ton of products to them, and we're excited because they'll also be distributing it to different correctional facilities in New York. Geographically speaking, we're also working on expanding to different areas of the U.S., including Atlanta, Georgia. We've been in talks with their facilities, and then Operation New Hope, which is a series of reentry facilities located in Florida. So I see us expanding, hopefully to all 50 states within the next 5 years. But as it pertains to 10 years, I'm really interested in taking the work of Beauty Beyond Bars global.
I knew you would say that.
Yes.
I knew you would say that.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. And I know I'm going to have the support of my Vital Voices sisters
Absolutely.
by my side.
We are here. We are here
Yes,
for you.
we understand the issues that are unique to the United States criminal justice system. But criminal justice system and issues within criminal justice are global. It's not something that is unique to the US.
Yes,
and that's something
absolutely.
that I was having conversations with at the Vital Voices Summit. I was speaking with Faith, and she was telling me about the unique issues in Africa and how
Yes.
the
Yes.
hygiene, it's universal. The experience of hygiene and beauty is universal. Everyone wants to look good. Everyone wants to feel their best. While the work of Beauty Beyond Bars right now is currently taking place primarily in California, in New York, in Atlanta, we know that hygiene is a fundamental human right.
Oh.
And it's something that we want to tackle globally.
Lea, thank you. Thank you for your time, for
Thank
sharing
you.
space with us, but ultimately for the incredible work that you're doing. This is like divine driven. This is not like just, it's incredible. And I'm so privileged to be able to share your story with the world. And certainly, you have the full support of the Vital Voices, community. And we're here to really lift you up and, hopefully see you fly globally. Let's certainly claim it. So thank you.
Yes.
Lea, we'll check in with you again. And we'd love to see what other states are you working. We want to see how you guys are growing.
Absolutely.
And of course, how Credo Voices can help you in shaping your narrative, getting the word out, and just seeing how we can get more people, more funding, so you can scale. Yeah?
Terrific. Absolutely. And thank you so much, Awele, for having me on Credo Voices. This has been an incredible conversation, and I'm constantly moved by the ways in which you elevate women's stories all around the world.
Beauty Beyond Bars is creating a lifeline for incarcerated individuals by addressing the critical lack of access to beauty and hygiene products. Since its launch, the organization has secured over $230,000 in donations, partnering with brands like Dr. Bronner's to provide essential care items to those behind bars who cannot afford them. Beyond distributing products, Lea uses storytelling to amplify the voices of system-impacted people, dismantling harmful stereotypes and fostering empathy. The advocacy work also extends to legislative efforts, such as the Culturally Competent Hair Care Act, which aims to correct racial disparities in prison personal care. By supporting Beauty Beyond Bars, you help restore dignity, promote awareness, and drive systemic change, bringing humanity to a place too often defined by neglect, one care package, one story, and one policy at a time.
Thank you for listening. Until next time, stay curious and keep believing in the power of your voice. This is Awele Okibo, signing off for Credo Voices.